vast majority of people at our school identify with one party or another in general. The degree to which they are involved actively in the College Democrats and the College Republicans does vary.
You know, politics is everything. It's everything. And, you know, you don't have to become 18 to realize that it affects you. It's affected you every day of your life. Most people, you know, wanted public schools or, you know, pay taxes when they start getting jobs when they're young. Politics is everything. That's what I'd say to young people.
My name is Spencer.
My name is Shah Mohammadi.
When we kicked the year off, we had our first body meeting and we filled the room probably 300 people. More, yeah, almost 400. And it obviously trails off, but we definitely still have a hardcore group of people that are still campaigning for the president every weekend and coming to our debate watch parties and our student debates and staying engaged.
We want to be able to actually hear the debate and listen to what the candidates are saying. We're going to ask that we keep it a little bit more civil than our last bipartisan debate watch.
We should always stand up for peace, for democracy, for individual rights. And we should not be imposing these devastating defense cuts, because what that does, when we equivocate on our values, when we show that we're cutting our own defense, it makes us more weak. It projects weakness, and when we look weak, our adversaries are much more willing to test us. They're more brazen in their attacks, and our allies are less willing to trust us.
With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey.
And why is that so?
My name is Mike McCurry. I really like particularly working with young people because I'm involved in a bunch of programs that help high school kids learn about politics and get involved in politics, and I think that's fun. It makes you feel like, you know, maybe some people will come along and improve the system over time.
I think 4 years ago really changed the dynamic among the youth. I think President Obama really engaged an entire generation that was just reaching the point of being able to vote.
I think there was a lot of excitement because he was a fresh face. He was obviously the first African-American candidate for President of the United States. And I think there was a lot of enthusiasm for him. I think a lot of young people are waiting to see what happens, to see if anything changes and changes for the better.
I think, you know, we have to invest in infrastructure, invest in people through education, making sure people can have affordable health care. All of that is what's going to build an economy that's built to last and that can really provide the jobs of the 21st century.
It will be harder to do things that, as young people begin to grow up and move into the workforce, they're going to want a better quality of life. And that depends on decisions that get made by the politicians that we elect. So paying attention is pretty darn important.
How do we distinguish between an institution's religious freedom and an individual's religious freedom in a free society like America that says we the people?
When you look at healthcare, when you look at health studies, we look at all these different studies, you realize that abortions, they help people. They can help save lives, lives that are currently living, lives that currently have rights, lives that currently have feelings.
What is Obama's plan to continue to kind of spearhead bipartisan legislation from Congress and actually get it passed?
I think the bigger issues in America today, besides how many people are using weed, and that is why Obama's taken such a soft stance on the topic. There's so many more important issues.
How will you be affected personally if gay people are allowed to get married?
It's moral for President Obama to say, oh, there's a terrorist living in this village in Pakistan, so I'm going to fire a drone into that village and kill all the innocent civilians in it, because maybe there's one terrorist in there that we could kill.
Would you favor allowing President Obama to have a teleprompter in his town hall debate next week? And the reason I ask is you're basically using one now, so as long as we're on the same page.
Yeah, no, I am. Young people brings more idealism into politics, and many young people, without knowing it, are very involved in politics as they're working in community action type campaigns. They're volunteering in different kinds of organizations, and I consider that part of politics too.
Hi, Mr. Hicks. My name is Christian. I'm a volunteer with Obama for America, Virginia. How are you tonight?
Young people have an energy that, you know, most people don't have. We could go out on the weekends without any sleep and knock on doors and talk to hundreds, thousands of voters. You know, we can make phone calls that most people aren't willing to do once they have a job and they have, you know, a lot of commitments.
I think a lot of young people now, they substitute, you know, tweets and Facebook postings and, you know, stuff like that for really writing persuasive prose.
People think if they share a photo or maybe retweet something that the president said, or you know, show some kind of vague social media activism or something like that, if they're talking about politics, that means nothing if you're not getting to the polls and actually voicing your opinion.
We facilitate things like canvassing for the president every weekend, and we go on campaign trips. Tomorrow we're going to Ohio. We just went to North Carolina a couple weeks ago. People who actually work in the field offices are very happy to have, you know, 55 kids for a weekend knocking on doors, because it helps them tremendously. But it just depends on the state when we're actually communicating with the voters. Every state has different issues that matter to them. They've been affected by the economy in different ways, and that's usually their number one issue. Some people, you know, we went to North Carolina and they were very receptive of us. They were very happy. I don't think anyone had a negative experience on that trip. But, you know, places like Ohio, people might feel differently. So it just really depends on the state and the issues.
Fired up, ready to go. Fired up, ready to go.